That may bring some rain as well in a low of 41. 39 at O'Hare. Next news at 8, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella, Sunday mornings starting at 8.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Senator Marco Rubio, in a speech at Catholic University, talked about the need for some tweaking of, I guess, conservative support for capitalism. There's new capitalism Marco Rubio wants to and did unveil, at least in sort of philosophical terms. Here's Rubio on the market economy.
The notion that left unguided, without any sort of policy involvement, the market will solve our problems, that is not going to restore a balance between the obligations and rights of the private sector and working Americans. Because it may lead to GDP growth and record profits. Nothing wrong with either one of those. They're both good. But economic growth and record profits alone will not lead to the creation of dignified work.
Dignified work. What will lead to the creation of dignified work? And ancillary question, is the government in the business of deciding and defining and producing dignified work? And is dignified work redundant? So many questions. Here's Rubio's answer.
What we need is to restore common good capitalism. What is common good capitalism? It's a system of free enterprise in which workers fulfill their obligation to work and they enjoy the benefits of their work, and where businesses enjoy their right to make a profit and reinvest enough of those profits to create dignified work for their workers and for America. And our current government policies today get this wrong. We actually reward and incentivize certain business practices that promote economic growth, but it's growth that often solely benefits shareholders at the expense of new jobs and better pay. Does our country exist to serve the interests of the market? Or does the market exist to serve the interest of our nation and of our people?
Is that a big question or a false choice? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Wall Street Journal columnist and economist, author of the book Trumponomics, Steve Moore. Steve, thanks for being with us.
Hi, guys. Good morning.
So is Marco Rubio's question, is that the right question? Does the market serve to exist to serve the country, or does the country exist to serve the market, or is common good capitalism a dangerous redundancy?
You know, I think Marco Rubio sometimes overthinks things and tries to fashion himself as some kind of new age intellectual.
Yes.
People always ask me, because I wrote this book, obviously, thank you for mentioning it, Trumponomics with Art Laffer. And I'm always asked when I give talks on, what Trump is doing and what Trumponomics is about. I'm often asked, well, what is the core concept of Trumponomics? And I think what it really is about is that, and what Larry Kudlow and I used to tell Trump all the time, is that economic growth isn't necessarily the answer to every problem, but it certainly is a precondition to solving every problem, whether it's poverty in America, whether it's income inequality, whether it's poor housing, poor schools, bad neighborhoods. Economic growth makes it so much easier to solve these problems, or even the national debt and our big deficits. So I think we should be focusing on policies that expand growth. And one other thing I feel strongly about, guys, and I've been advocating this for years and years. He almost sounds a little bit like a Marxist, right, when he says, "Oh yeah, these policies represent the capitalists, but not the workers," and that's what Marxism was sort of about. It's this kind of conflict of interest between shareholders and workers. And what I want to do is make every single worker in America a shareholder. So every American owns a piece of American companies. And the way to do that, of course, would be to put everyone to put their Social Security money into a private personal account where they own the stocks of every American company. So when America does better, every worker does better. What do you think about that idea, Dan?
Right. That's a great idea. I've always thought that. But do you think Marco Rubio's trying to reinvent capitalism?
Good question. Look, I think it's a lot of gibberish, what I just heard, frankly.
Yes.
I think it's a lot of gibberish. I mean, he surrounded himself. He was one of these people who surrounded himself with what do they call themselves? They're not neocons. They called them reformicons. This was the big all of these kind of conservative intellectuals who we're going to improve capitalism. We're going to change it by improving it, and everyone's going to benefit and so on. And wait a minute, capitalism and by the way, that's become a dirty word in America. I don't even know if I should use that word. So I'm not going to use the word capitalism. I'm going to use the word free enterprise and free markets. But those are what liberate people. But the answer to the problems in the inner city, the problems that you're facing in Chicago, in my opinion, Amy, is a lack of free market capitalism and too much government control. I mean, just think of how much better kids would be educated, just as a thought experiment. Instead of spending, what do you spend on the Chicago public school system? At least $10 billion. I mean, I can't even imagine what the number is, but it's billions and billions of dollars. Imagine if you just every parent a $15,000 or $20,000 voucher and let them go to any school they want to. And the Catholic, I grew up in Chicago, as you guys know. In the Catholic school system in Chicago, they give a better education to kids at half the price. Let me say that again. A better education at half the price. Maybe the Chicago public schools might learn something from that.
Speaking of a bad word, Export-Import Bank. It's been
that is a bad word.
It's been House voted to reauthorize it for another 10 years. And with all due respect to the National Association of Manufacturers, this is nothing more than a crony socialist boondoggle, isn't it? Shouldn't this be shot down by President Trump if he's a true capitalist?
Oh, God, yes. God, yes. This is a horrible program. We should get rid of out of the Export-Import Bank. We should get rid of out of the International Monetary Fund. We should get rid of out of all of these organizations that are just, you summarized it very well. Yeah, and these are crony capitalism. They give capitalism a bad name, right? This plays into the hands of the left that says everything is just jury-rigged for the big companies. Like, I think isn't Boeing one of the biggest companies that's gotten export-import help? And
even worse are all the Chinese state-owned companies that are getting XM support.
Exactly.
I mean, it's unbelievable. China Air.
It's really, yeah. So you know how long I've been working. I'm embarrassed to say, Dan and Amy, how long I've been working on that issue. 37 years. It was the first time I came to Washington in I think 1983. The first project I worked on under when Reagan was president in his first term. We were trying to get rid of the Export-Import Bank. And may I say, Reagan was in favor of getting rid of the Export-Import Bank. And it's the blob. It's the swamp will not get rid of that program. And so you get, liberals, that team up with the big corporations like General Electric and Boeing to save this program. And it's just big handouts to these major corporations. And as I said, it gives capitalism a bad name.
Wilbur Ross.
But by the way, we're not going to win. We're not going to win on that. The big corporations, the corporate welfare state will win again. And by the way, what's really embarrassing is how many Republicans will vote to sustain the Export-Import Bank.
Yes. Oh, I know. Wilbur Ross, Commerce Secretary, saying yesterday that you're fine-tuning the details of a trade deal with China. What's your sense of where that's at?
Yeah, I just had a conversation actually with them last night. I saw them over at Fox News. Look, this is tough slog. I mean, I really, really, really want to get this round one done. I think everybody does. I think it's in the interest of both countries. I think it'll be great for the stock market, great for the Trump's chances of getting reelected in 2020 if he can get this deal done. And yet the Chinese, you just can't trust these people. I mean, when I say the Chinese, I mean the Chinese Communist government.
Yes.
You can't trust them. I mean, it's like dealing with the Politburo. And by the way, the Politburo is back in charge. And so I won't believe, and I've been a big cheerleader for this, what I call a skinny deal. This is a kind of a truce in the trade war. But, every time it's like, sometimes when you reach out to shake somebody's hand and they pull it back, that's what the Chinese have done over and over again. And it's terrible for them because their economy is getting creamed. I mean, what's happening in Hong Kong and China right now is a catastrophe for these. I mean, it is a catastrophe, folks. I mean, people are disinvesting in Hong Kong. China needs Hong Kong. Hong Kong needs China. It's a terrible situation over there. So I'm really hopeful it gets done, but, I won't believe it until they sign on the dotted line there. And by the way, may I put a little pitch in? What instead of maybe impeaching the president, which is one of the greatest three-ring circuses I've ever seen in Washington, why doesn't Nancy Pelosi bring up to a vote the U.S., Mexico, Canada trade agreement so we can get this thing done? Everyone knows it's good for farmers and manufacturers and American workers, and yet she will not bring it. She doesn't have time. How could she possibly have time? They're spending 20 hours a day on impeachment.
Well, they don't want to do anything that makes President Trump look good.
Exactly. You are exactly right, Amy.
Thank
you. So it is a frustrating environment right now in Washington. And this should, by the way, it's been a year now. Did you guys know that? It's been a year since we had the agreement with Canada and Mexico to do this trade agreement, and she still hasn't brought it up to a vote.
Oh, that's pathetic.
Hey, locally.
All we want is an up or down. I mean, isn't the reason for Congress so they can vote on things?
Yeah, allegedly.
I'm so old-fashioned.
Locally, since you hail from Illinois, I've got this debate at lunch at the Union League Club about the graduated state income tax that's on the ballot in November in Illinois.
Yeah.
What should I say? Should I say that we should support the graduated state income tax just to get to the bottom faster, or what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think your line should be "sock it to the rich." I mean, I'm not going to be happy with Illinois as long as there's one rich person left in that state, and it's not going to be a great state again until every single millionaire and billionaire moves out of Illinois. I think that's what. Of course, I'm being sarcastic, folks. Look, I think that this is a really, really serious issue. I love the state of Illinois. I hail from the great city of Chicagoland. If I would just put it very plainly, if Illinois voters are dumb enough to pass that resolution that is when's that on the ballot?
November
next year.
Yeah.
I truly think Illinois will sink into the bottom of Lake Michigan. I think that
I mean, people can't be that stupid, right? I mean, they really can't be that dumb.
People, and by the way,
hasn't been paying attention to election results.
Is Pritzker still running these ads saying, "Oh, only 98% of the people are going to get a tax cut under this"? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, that is the biggest lie I've ever. I mean, you're not going to literally anyone who makes over $500,000 will move out of the state, and then who's going to pay for all these great schools and the great roads and all the public services that the liberals want? If you kill the golden goose, you don't get the golden eggs, folks.
He is Steve Moore, economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, author of the book Trumponomics. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
So you understand, Dan, right, that the fate of the state of Illinois now rests on your shoulders on this debate.
Then the state of Illinois is in trouble.
Who are you debating to?
Ralph Martiri from.
I feel sorry for Ralph. He's gonna go down.
Yeah, he's just
Who's Ralph?
he's just one of the the commissars of always promoting tax increases and bond debt and spending from around here.
One of those.
A real standard bearer for the people, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Steve.
All right. Well, I'm praying for you. Bye.
See ya.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Hi, this is Dan Frio with the Mortgage Update. Daily you hear guys on the radio going back and forth about how they're better than the other guy, and then you hear how their team can help you buy or refinance a home. But answer this, are they a direct lender who has the ability to approve, underwrite, and close your loan? I am. Are they a middleman who's at the mercy of another company? I'm not. When you call, do you speak with the person who's telling you how great they are? Or are you talking to a salesperson? Not me. You work with me personally. And last, I put my money where my mouth is. I offer an exclusive rate match program for those times when I don't have the best rate. So to work with me personally, call 844-775-LOAN. That's 844-775-LOAN. Or find me on the web at windmortgage.com. That's windmortgage.com.
Parkside Lending, LLC is an Illinois residential mortgage licensee and an equal housing lender. NMLS 176162.
Dan Proft here. Gentlemen, November is Men's Health Month. A reminder to take care of your health. So Low T Center is now offering a $49 comprehensive health assessment and a $49